Hello everyone and welcome back to the very 7th Don't Be Bored podcast. Today I'm going to talk to you about why I don't really get along with solo games too much, and also maybe a couple of travel games. You'll have to maybe keep your ears open for that. So, solo gaming, it's a huge thing and I think there is nothing wrong with it if you like it. Let's get that out in the open. It really became a thing, I think, in the last few years. It was just starting to become something that was hinted at, talked about for Kickstarters and stuff just before the world shut down with COVID, and ever since then, pretty much any Kickstarter or whatever is going to have some solo mode rules. Certain games come out, you almost are surprised it doesn't have a solo mode version of it these days. Classic games as well, like Carcassonne, they even released a solo rules play for that, and that's one of my favourite games. You can tell that by watching my top 100 games, which I'd highly advise you to do. That was a lot of fun putting that together. But onto the topic, even games like Carcassonne, which are competitive games, had solo spins. To me, the whole point of a game such as Carcassonne is building that map out with other people, them putting tiles down, you trying to work around, maybe limit the size of their road or their city, ninja in on their city or whatever. So it seems odd to me that they'd go back and do what is a very competitive-ish sort of game of you're definitely building it out one map but together, but you're trying to score the most points and have a solo mode version of that? Well, maybe I do need to try that at some point because it's one of my favourite games. Maybe I do need to experience that. But for the most part, I do find myself completely ignoring if a game has solo player rules. Even cooperative games, co-op games often are soloable, even if you have to maybe play two hands. Although that does become a bit tricky because some sort of co-op games really do rely on you not being able to know what your teammate is going to do or what exact cards they have in their hand. So there's maybe a bit of a sort of patchy game there of maybe having to sort of wangle the rules a little bit. But overall, why do I not like solo gaming? There's a couple of reasons. First of all, I play a lot of video games, and to me it's a lot easier, a lot quicker to just jump on the computer and play some video games on my own. Now, the reason for that is a lot of these big games that offer solo modes, I don't mind setting it up or setting half of it up with help from the other person or whatever to do a two-player game. As soon as there's two players, setting a big game up, well, it's half the time. Terraforming Mars, one of my favourite games. I don't think I can be bothered to set up that game just for myself. Then there's the fact that taking that time aside, because some games, Bandido for instance, I like that as a very quick solo game because there is no setup. Effectively you take the cards out the box, you put the middle tile in the middle of the table, draw 3 from the deck and go. Yet that still doesn't get to the table all that often. And while that's a fun puzzle, and I find those puzzly sort of things are where solo games sort of excel because it's less sort of playing a game and more just solving a quick puzzle, maybe moving on or replaying it, trying to do that puzzle better. I do find that often it's not why I'm playing a board game. I'm playing a board game to play with other people, to interact with those other people, probably to chat alongside playing some cards. Whether you're, playing a card to destroy them in Unmatched or just playing a tile to build out this lovely garden in Tang Gardens or whatever. You're still sat around the table with some friends or family and enjoying that sort of interaction time. That's why I play board games. It's for that purpose. And yet there's still other things about solo gaming that I think could if improved, capture me a bit more. Now, I've said that I like when a solo game is sort of a bit of a puzzle. That's quite cool, and you know, I'm trying to just solve this puzzle. Like sitting down and doing a Sudoku or something. I don't mind doing that now and again. Again, a Sudoku has very little setup time. You open the book, open your app, you take your pencil or your porky finger and start prodding and fill in the numbers. You're literally seconds of setup and you're already doing the puzzle. The thing that solving a puzzle is, once you've solved that puzzle, you've done it, you've completed it, you can move on to another puzzle or whatever. But a lot of solo games are just score based. Sometimes they've got like these achievements or goals or whatever, but often it comes down to, if you've got say 0 to 10 points, oh well, try again. If you've got 10 to sort of 20, you did okay. If you get 20 to 30, well done. Anything above say 50, you've done fantastic. Even in multiplayer cooperative games, whatever, that sort of scoring system just is a snooze fest. For instance, Just One. It's a fantastic game. I do not care for the scoring though. The fun part of Just One is not going through I think it's 13 cards and seeing how well you've done against their scoring. It's going through those 13 cards and just trying to get as many of them right as possible. I don't really care if the game is telling me I've done fantastic. It's telling us, oh, you didn't work well as a team, and all that sort of stuff. If the game's not been fun up to that point, the scoring is not going to change my mind. If anything, if the game's been good, that sort of scoring can make me slightly think, ugh, this game is annoying. And a lot of solo modes revolve around either just beating your old scores or going against this sort of table of scores and did you manage to do this? Did you manage to do that? Now, the ones that I think do it quite well are those ones that do things really quickly and you're still trying to beat your opponent, but maybe you've got some way of choosing things, forcing them into good or bad decisions as an AI. Tussie Mussy is a great example of this. You are making all of the choices for both you and the opponent. Now they get a load of bonuses for certain things that would otherwise not be great for them, and they're very rarely good for you. So it's like, okay, do I take the choice of taking this probably not great card for me, or maybe situational card for me? If I give it to them, it's just points though. So it means every decision you make, you are working against yourself as much as you're working for yourself. It's still, can you just beat your opponent's score, but it at least feels like you've just you're working out this puzzle. And again, that game has very little setup other than shuffling a couple of piles of cards. Perhaps I am wrong on this. I just find solo games do a few things that I just don't like in normal games, and it becomes a bigger deal in a solo game. Long setup. That's more painful if I'm on my own playing that game, because I don't want to do all of that setup. If someone else or 3-4 people around the table to handle some of that setup, it becomes less of a problem. Certain games have that annoying table of scores, and a lot of solo modes revolve around those as well. Please let me know if I'm massively wrong, or let me know of a game that you can solo that doesn't take long to set up and doesn't have that ridiculous table scoring at the end that's just like, how many points did you get? Okay, win or lose. Maybe there's some choices like Tussie Mussy or something like that. Let me know in the comment section below if you can think of a really good example. Now onto a sort of topic which I've covered a little bit before on a top 5 list, and that is games to travel with. Now that's because this weekend coming up, you're listening to it while I'm there, I'm going on a friend's stag do. The idea is that maybe we take some games. We've got like a small suitcase because we're going on the train, so weight's not too much of a problem, but size is. Well, there's a few games that are automatically going straight into my bag. First of all, Love Letter. It's small, it's portable, it plays up to 6, which isn't enough for the amount of people that are going to be there, but if there's a load of people doing one thing, maybe they're not up in the morning or whatever, and a few people want to play a game, Love Letter, absolute banger of an option there. Another game that is sort of requested, and it feels perfect for a sort of stag do-y sort of event, is Cash and Guns. What better way to break the ice between a group of people that know the main stag but not necessarily knowing everyone else than to point foam guns at each other. I think that could be quite fun, and well, a couple of other little games might sneak into sort of my bag as well. The sort of ones where if there's only a few of you, you could play it. It does make it quite hard to pick up a game that's going to go to a big player count that's not maybe a team game. I'd love to take a big dexterity game like Pitch Car, but I'm not lugging all of those wooden components across the country. So I'm having to make the choices, I'm having to think strategically, but at least Love Letter, Cash and Guns, two very different experiences. And then maybe a few sort of ones, maybe like Don't Get Got. That could be quite entertaining for the weekend, where you've got silly challenges for people to do. That seems like a good option. That's actually just come to me, so recording this has been rather helpful. But what would you take on that sort of an experience, that sort of a weekend? We've got like 8 of us there, so it's quite a lot of people for something that's not a team game. Looking around the room, of course, there's some brilliant games. Not many go up to that player count, let alone sort of the ones that you want to be really quick, fast and fun. And last but not least, one thing I'm going to talk about quickly that it's a bit of a disappointment, because I was hoping to be able to play the game, review it and everything while the Kickstarter was going on, but I have now received Mindbug Evolution. So this is the standalone sequel expansion deck that you can get for Mindbug. The Kickstarter has just ended. Unfortunately, on that final day, the sort of beta run of the print deck arrived through my door, so I'm going to be hopefully playing that over the next couple of weeks, and I will be getting a review or a preview sort of thing up of that beta print run in time for the late pledges. So I did say when I revealed one of the cards on the channel that would be coming. It is going to be coming, unfortunately it's just that little bit later than originally planned. And well, that about wraps today's episode up. I would, however, like just to take this little bit of time at the end of the episode to say, if you haven't, it would be absolutely phenomenal if you go through and watch my top 100 games. Put it on in the background when you're doing something. Have it just rolling while you're at work, listening to me talk about some semi-decent games, slowly getting better and better. It'd be really cool to see what you think of my list, as well as what really should have been there, shouldn't have been there, and all that sort of jazz. Because it was a lot of fun putting the list together. It was a lot harder than I imagined. I really did think, I'm doing a top 100. Sure, I've got, hundreds of games I've played. Surely I can easily pick my top ones. Well, I found actually picking the top 10, that was fairly easy. Picking the top 20, not too bad, but the order of that second 10, that started to be a little bit more difficult. And then the further you got down the list, it much more became the issue of, okay, I like these games. I like them more than the ones that I've got outside of the top 100. But where do I actually put these? How do I order them? And I did find the similar games bunched up on the list a little bit. It sort of became easier to go, yes, I like this roll and write better than this roll and write, or this card drafting game better than this one. And then it was quite hard at times to go, okay, do I really like this one more than this completely different other game? You know, I've got games on my top 100 like Twilight Imperium 4 and then Love Letter. And it's like, one of these plays from 2 to 6 in like 5 minutes, and the other one with 4 players will take about 6 hours. One is a small card game, one has a fantastic production quality, and you are doing galactic dominance. They're not easy to compare, but I just had to in the end go, you know, what do I want to play right now? And that's how I sort of made that list. It was a lot of fun, like I said. I probably will look to do one again in the future and sort of see how things have changed. But yeah, have you actually tried to do a top 100? Have you made your list? Have you publicised it? Well, let us know in the comment section below. And until next time, thank you for lending me your ears, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.